Hello everyone, Ranjitha here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am here with a very simple crafts. Even kids could do that. Today I am using air dry clay and making a simple wall hanging. So for that I am using Shilpkar or M-Seal here. You could use any air dry clay. You also need a pencil and an eraser to draw your design. Along with that, I am repurposing some carton here. You could take any sturdy cardboard box that comes in your packaging, or you could use an old wedding card or any support cardboard thick enough to hold your air dry clay. I am using a cardboard because air dry clay as it is has a tendency to shrink, so I thought a cardboard base would give it enough support. Also, to protect my hand while working with the air dry clay, I am taking some baby powder and rubbing it on my hands so that it will be easy for me to work along. Once I am ready with my supplies, I am taking a cardboard piece and I am drawing my supplies with a pencil over it. I am using a tape roll here to draw a small circle. You could make any shapes that you want. You could make a sun, you could make clouds, stars, any shape you wish to. All you need to do is just draw those shapes on the cardboard piece and then cut the cardboard piece into the same shape and size. I am making just a few shapes here, like a star, cloud, a rounded rectangle and a sun. You could let your imagination go wild. You could make flowers, you could make birds, you could make as many shapes as you want. The more shapes you have, the more longer your wall hanging would be. Alternatively, if you do not want a very long hanging, you could just make one shape and add a tassel to it, and you could turn them into your bag tags, or you could turn them into a keychain, anything. Once you get a hang of this procedure, it's very easy. You could make many projects. Also, since it is a Rakhi season and friendship season coming, you could make small tokens of gift for your brothers, sisters or your friends. So as you can see here, I've cut out the cardboard into shapes here. Be careful if you're a kid, make sure you take adults' help. Very easy project. So now I'm going to protect my table surface before I start working with my air dry clay. I'm using an acrylic sheet here. You could use a newspaper or any other polythene to just protect your table surface. Then I'm using molded here. You could use any other air dry clay. Usually these air dry clay comes in two parts, that is a resin and a hardener, and unless you mix both of them, it doesn't set. But once you mix them together, you will not have too much of a time. You need to work quickly on it. For this project, I am using the entire pack of part A and part B, or the resin and hardener. You could mix them in smaller quantities. You can always mix more clay if you want, but make sure that you don't mix too much at a time because it tends to set quickly. Now, to protect my hands, and since the clay is sticky, I am using some talcum powder and just dusting it on my hands and on the surface. I am opening both the packs and then I am mixing them carefully together and kneading it properly. Make sure that you dust your hands with talcum powder because it is sticky. You can also use the talcum powder on the surface as well. Once I am done, I am going to knead this carefully until I get a very even texture, even colored, soft dough with which we can work with. You will know that the clay is ready to use when it is in the same color, that is, you do not find any dark or uneven coloration of the clay. That is, both the parts have to mix properly. I've kneaded my clay well and it is now ready to use. I'm taking small quantity of it and I'm rolling it with the help of a rolling pin. This is my daughter's rolling pin from her kitchen set. I thought I could use it. You just need to roll the clay such that you get an even layer. Make sure that it is not too thin and flimsy. You need to have enough body for your air dry clay. But before doing so, I am trying to stick this clay onto the cardboard. You could directly stick it, but however, for added benefit, I am adding a little white glue here so that the clay adheres well to the cardboard. Before doing this, I forgot to mention to you a point. Since we are planning to make a hanger out of this, we need holes. So before adding the glue, make sure that you punch out 2 holes according to your requirement on the cardboard. I am just using a normal hole punch here. You could just make a hole with any sharp object. but a hole punch would be easier and the holes also would be even. So this is the step you need to do before adding the glue, but since I missed it out, I ended up adding the holes later. So here you can see I'm just applying this clay all over the cardboard. Now with any sharp object, or here I am using a scale, just roughly cut out the edges. You do not have to be very precise with it, but make sure that you cover the edges properly and all the edges have a smooth finish. So here with just help of a ruler, I am cutting off all the excess and I am smoothing the borders. While doing this, don't apply too much pressure to your air dry clay, because you will end up having fingerprints or you will end up having depressions on your clay. So be very careful and work with very light hands. To add a little more interest, I am just taking a blunt pencil and I am adding indentations all around the corner of this rounded rectangle. You could use your imagination, turn around the house and look for any objects that you could make fun imprints or any stamping with it. So here I am using a simple pencil. So you remember we've made holes onto our cardboard. Now I'm taking the holes into the air dry clay as well. So I'm taking the back of a brush and I'm making the holes in the clay itself. Once the holes are formed, I'm making sure that the edges are smooth and I do not have any harsh lines or any harsh pointy edges on the hole. Now I'm repeating the same step with all the other shapes as well. Don't forget to dust some powder onto your hands and onto the surface. At this point, you need to start working quickly, because you cannot work for too long with your air dry clay and you need to be a little quick in your working. I am repeating the same steps again and again. So before making the sticking the clay onto the shape, I'm punching out holes. Since I wanted a long hanging, I wanted holes on the top and bottom. Depending on your design, if you're making a keychain, maybe we would require only one hole. So depending on that, all you need to do is just add the holes onto the cardboard, apply a little white glue and then stick the air dry clay onto the shape and cut off all the excess. Once you have trimmed the excess, just run your finger along the edges so that the clay takes the exact shape of the cardboard and you also do not have any rough edges. Smoothen it out with your finger very gently. After everything, I am again taking the back of a brush and I am making sure that the hole is made in the air dry clay as well. From here, I am speeding up the process because it is the same thing again and again. So all you need to do is just be quick with your fingers, because by now it will be setting quickly. Since I'm kind of used to with this medium, I work quickly, but in case if you have any doubt, take no risk. Use your clay in small quantities, mix them in small quantities, but all you have to remember is that you have to mix both the parts in equal quantities and knead it well until you get an even texture and even color. Also, try to make sure that all your shapes have even thickness of air dry clay. That is, you do not want the clay to be too thin so that you can feel your cardboard. At the same time, you do not want it to be so thick that it becomes heavy and will be difficult to hang. So try to maintain an even thickness of the air dry clay. Now all our shapes are ready and completely dry. Now I will be going ahead and painting all the shapes in bright happy colors. So before doing to this step, make sure that your air dry clay is completely dry. Don't be in any haste. Don't try to finish up your job quickly, because you need to wait till the air dry clay completely sets. This is because air dry clay slightly shrinks, and if you paint it beforehand, there is a high tendency of having cracks over your paint. So I'm going to paint all the other surfaces and I will get back to you. I'm done painting all the surfaces. Now I'm taking a fine liner marker here and I'm just writing happy home here. You could be creative, you could write your name, you could write a fun quote, you could write an inspiration quote, anything that you would like to make your hanging with. You could just make your initials on it. Just use your imagination. In case if you're making keychains for your friends, you could write their names on it as well. So here I just wanted a generic happy hanging in my house. So I'm just writing happy home here. Now after everything is dry, I've given it a coat of varnish to protect it from dust and water. And for after that I'm taking some jute cord and I'm just making a knot like this so that I could hang all these pieces together. You could take any fancy twine, you could take jute cord, you could take yarn or anything. So as you can see here, I'm just pulling the jute cord here so that I will have a loop to hang with, and then I'm making another knot. Similarly, I'm going to attach all the pieces and I'm going to make a long hanging out of it. Like I told you, you can always customize it according to your needs. If you can make your hanging longer, you could make it, or if you just want to make a small shape and just add a tassel to it, it would be a great idea for a keychain as well. In the same way, I'm going to attach all the other shapes and I'm going to show you how the final piece would look. So as you can see here, I've tied up all the pieces together and I've also added a tassel at the end. So this is my cute little hanger. You can see the close-up images here, how quickly with very basic supplies I could make a cute wall decor. You could turn it into a keychain. I hope I was of some inspiration to you, and you will also definitely give this fun and quick, easy project a try. If you make something similar, don't forget to share it with me on my social media. I would love to see what you make. Thank you so much for stopping by. I will be back soon with another interesting crafty video. Until then, bye.